These interviews in no way reflect the views of Arrayas Productions. This project is in no way endorsed by Arrayas Productions. As students in a continuous state of learning and frequency accretion, we each hold our own unique perspective of the teachings and how they relate to our individual experiences. It is important for viewers to remember that we are in fact self-sovereign beings with free will expression, and we each carry our own perceptual filters with potential for distortion. These interviews are intended to inspire, and in no way should reflect upon Elaisa, Arrayas Productions, or any of her work, as there is no affiliation. More information on the Alhambra Magistracy Council of Cosminius, the Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order, Tantri Aura, Tantri Asia, and the Keylontic Science can be found in the provided links below.
So now you just know who you are, and you're back on track, and you're just it's it feels like a big momentum. You can heal as fast as you can run. That's
Yeah.
how it feels.
Yeah. Oh, you said it right there. Yeah. Heal as fast as you can run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just stamina. And I guess that's probably why I'm lazy with it. Or I just doubt because I know what I'm going to get. I go back and I just know. And I know how much work I still have to do. And it's a little frustrating sometimes. And I mean, being a dad also and trying to hold a decent shield here as a family and the relationship. And
Mm.
it's just, this stuff's radioactive, man. You bring up a little bit, and the whole shield's going to rattle
Mm.
up something. So it's
Mm.
kind of enhanced in that sense. And then, of course, with the people in the group I've made friendships and bonds with, it's kind of,
Mm.
we're all going through the same relationship things. I got brothers over there in the UK, Harvey, right at the end of our interview, another brother in Brighton just called me just out of nowhere. And we talked for like another 3 hours, but it wasn't anything I could record. It was like just a catch up type thing between us. And we all are going through the same purge thing in relationship. We're describing the exact same thing. So it's like, it just really reinforces the connectivity of how vast the shield is and the bonds that are made in this group with each other, just how precious that is.
It's just amazing, Chris, because like
It's
you're
family.
like you're like the bridge as well. Like you're like the first point for me, right? I mean, obviously Taylor, but I mean you in terms of the social, because I wasn't integrating at all with KS, and I don't actually. I talk to you privately, and I make a few comments, and that's it. But I mean, there is a massive there's a lot of people. Like I don't realize there's so many. You're telling me there's someone in Brighton, then you introduce me to someone in Kent. Maybe I'll go meet her. There's loads of people. It's
Uh,
really amazing.
they're everywhere. We're everywhere, man. That's crazy. I've been introducing people to people just right down the road from each other. In India, this last time,
Yeah,
it's
I
really
love
crazy.
that. I love that.
Yeah. This guy hasn't got into it. I've been talking to him, and he hasn't done a single technique, nothing. He's just reading over Voyagers 2, and he's intermingling with everybody and meeting people. And then I introduced him to a couple people that live like right down the road from him. He's like, "Oh, there's people that do it here." I'm just kind of shocked.
Mhm.
It's
It's nice. It's real nice because it's family, right? It's like your
it
soul group.
it's nice, but I'll share with you something about the Colorado Shield, just in full disclosure here, because when I first joined, and I was ordained. I got ordained to the level 3 before the failsafe and all this and everything when they were still doing ordinations.
Mm.
And so we had like active meetings, and it was actually a double ordination. There was a guy who got ordained with me.
Mm.
And, since then, the people that used to meet up have just gone these very separate ways. Like the lady who ordained me moved up to Oregon. And then there's another lady down in the Springs that's just completely out of any new stuff, just not
Mm.
resonating with any of it in any way whatsoever.
Mm.
And then the guy I got ordained with is like he's doing his own thing too. We want to catch up, but it's like there's some frequency fence there. Like we're all just not trapped, but like in these different dimensional spectrums doing our work, like just gung ho in it right now. So it
So what
even blocks communication sometimes, but it's there, it's always
do you
there.
think that is then?
What?
I mean, like, what's happening?
I think we fell out of the spaceship and hit the ground running.
Mm.
That's my theory about it, is that we
That
felt.
I feel that it's going to change for so much of the better. I don't know why I feel it, but I feel like it's all part and part because it's only just happened. And
Yeah.
like, I feel like you can't understand how it can change until it changes, then you get it. So
Well,
I
if we're
think
all
that,
doing self-healing work and we're all self-empowering ourselves and we're not caught up in our own distortions in the group and dramas and stuff, and we're out there socializing, intermingling, I think that is going to resonate, make a difference out there in
yeah,
society. Because
100.
it seems like we're so preoccupied right now. Like, of course, the workshop, everybody's active in that and filling the wave and everything as always, but it's like there's this sense of everybody's busy now. They're doing stuff. There's a little buzz in the shield, just everyone active.
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
feel that, and I don't, I don't even know, I'm new to it. I guess I feel it big time.
Well, you've been interacting with people on here too. You've like
Yeah,
socialized with a new group.
yeah, like private and mostly questions and stuff like that. Like I mean, I'm really close to you. A lot of people are, Chris, close to you. You're a real bridge. And then, or not, it's not close. I just am transparent, real transparent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, a couple of other people, that's it.
I think because I've been trying to live by the transparency code myself in my life and just transcending over the conspiracy theories, the monitoring, the all the recent disclosures from the whistleblower, the NSA, and the stuff that was actually real that they're doing. That's kind of got America in a crippled state somewhat with a lot of people, and just kind of walking around in this crippled state of fear. And for many different reasons, not just that. Of course, the guns, a big difference between the consciousness of gun owners, and there's just a lot going on here in this country. A lot of processing, I think, for the human psyche. The more I go into it, the more I see it in the news, from the emotions that are being expressed, because I have to agree with all of them, with the
Yeah.
majority of them, of the voice here, because there's a common sense type of feel in this country, I think, like the Indians had before the settlers that came here, that just kind of is able to see things as they are and kind of speak and say, no, we're entitled to that right. And they just kind of speak up for it for
Mm-mm.
the rest of the world, just
On
eventually.
on note, when I was, because I'm remembering, like yesterday again, Harvey was talking about his pull, and I have the exact same pull. Like once I woke up, all I wanted to do was get off the grid, make a sustainable house in the middle of nowhere, like because like I saw these
Big
little
time.
hippie communities in America and I was just so loving it. I mean, I was so drawn to it. I've always loved that, living off the land, growing your own stuff.
Yeah.
And I just went mad. Like when I woke up, I was just like, that's the and that's where I'm going to be. And that book Anastasia? I don't know. I told you. Did I tell you to read it?
What is it about? I know
It's
the
amazing.
Anastasia
Man.
I've heard.
It's like this girl in the forest. It's a true story. I mean, some don't believe it, but it's
Russian? Russian story?
Russian and
Yeah.
Vladimir Nabokov, and he goes in the forest, and this girl who's been living literally off the land,
Okay.
she's so in tune with Earth, with planet Earth, and the flowers and the nature, and she lives in the forest, and that she just sleeps on a bear, and she has all these insights. She's able to connect direct up there, and I just think to myself, that's our true Tyrannidium lid. Like that's our
This is your
God.
dad's side. As you said, your dad he's Czech.
Um, yeah, she's Czech. But what do you mean it's my dad's side? I'm just talking about the book
You're
now.
you're drawn to this through like the codes
Oh,
inside
it's
from your dad. Like,
oh, you think? Okay.
well, I've kind of sensed there's like a deeper theme with it,
Oh, yeah,
with the
maybe.
story of it and everything.
Yeah, maybe. Of course they would have lived like that. My grandma died at 101, so back in those
Oh.
days, it would have been like a lot more, that kind of planet, very close to the planet, right? I
Mhm.
guess. My mum, she's just such a businesswoman, so it's just so different.
See, I have a
But
lot of the connection with my native roots because my dad, when I was growing up, he made sure that I knew what tribe was in my blood, and it's the Osage tribe, and they're Prairie Indian.
oh
And
wow.
he used to teach me of the just like different nature things. We had chickens, and it was
So
kind of like we had a garden. He was teaching me how to grow things and just that connection to earth.
yes, absolutely. That's what's the most appealing thing because it's such a different way of life to what we understand now. And
Yeah.
it's out there for the taking if we want it. And I just found it fascinating. And then you were like, oh, but there's this little group and blah, blah. And I was like, right, I have got to go and visit this little KS group in the middle of nowhere.
Where?
You remember you said like there's this group that like have gone off the grid in like
Oh, in
Minnesota.
Oregon. Oh man, they're going to be flooded now with these interviews probably. Yeah, I don't know how many people are up there, but I felt like maybe two or three because I know there's one, like I said, the lady who ordained me, but then there was another family that was starting something like that too, and I'm trying to remember who they were. But I think they're both like in communication with each other. I think they might be in different states, like she's in Washington and then the other one's in Oregon.
Mm.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of something that could be expanding. And I had a huge huge calling to go out to Oregon a few years back,
Mm.
right when they left, and there was a group of people that had left, and things were just set up for her to go out there after my ordination. It was pretty fast after I got ordained, actually, in the split and everything.
What's an ordinate? I don't get it. Ordination, isn't that a priest gets ordinated?
There's a lot of like DNA activation that came with it, and
Okay.
processing. For me, it was like the strands kind of
Okay.
came together. It was like a proclamation of what my true intention was and the direction I really wanted to take it
How did
from
you
then
find
on.
AS?
Well, there's like two phases of it because there's the Voyager's 2 phase. You could say that was the first one. That was back in 2001. I saw it at a bookstore, the Lighthouse bookstore in Boulder here in Colorado. That's like a famous bookstore around here. And it popped out kind of just out of nowhere off the bookshelf at me. The energy of it.
Wow.
And then I couldn't put it down. I didn't have the money to get it at the time. I was just going through it and just holding it, and I couldn't leave the store. And I was just like glued. I was like, I need this book. I know I need this book. I need this book. I need it. And I could not stop. And then I didn't make any effort to manifest money because it's right when I was going on the streets and it's just kind of lost. But I saw some of the charts and even just seeing the Maharic seal and the Kathara grid, I was like, yes, that's it, man. That's it. That's the full Kabbalah. That's what the Kabbalah is twisted. That's why I knew that Kabbalah was twisted, man. And the Merkabah and everything, because it just confirmed all of this for me, all of
It's
it.
so cool how people wake up. I find it so fascinating.
And I couldn't even bring myself to do Drunvalo's Merkabah spins. I was so fascinated with the concept, and I knew there's a true Merkabah, but he was just really shady. I just couldn't get it. And it was really technical, so it was satisfying in that sense that to hear somebody actually teaching the ratios and the what do they call it, tree of life, the spirals, the Fibonacci, the
Yeah.
stuff that's in nature. But then you
Yeah.
take it a step further, nature is twisted. Nature got messed up here. So
Yeah, I can see
that's
that.
the beauty of KS2. It's just that realization alone that we're not in a natural world. We're taught that war is natural and vampires are natural and vampire animals and vampire humans eating meat and stuff, all this craziness that it's natural, and KS takes you out of that spectrum.
That's amazing, man. Like, I just need to do so much more. I need to just, it's fine. I'm in, you know, what's it called? Divine right timing and divine right order. Like, everything's
Yeah.
fine. Everything's divine. Like, I'm just saying
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like interesting to like want to do all this research now you're talking.
What research? What?
Just like knowing like about the takes for KS on the planet and what's distortion and what that for me, like, I
Really?
need to know that and need to know about it. I need to know all these things.
Oh, it's all. You need to talk to Noel Tobin, the physicist in Ireland. He's in Dublin. Him and his wife Rose are in our group, and
Oh,
they're
really?
just lovely, lovely people. They're just
Okay.
amazing,
Can you,
amazing.
can you link us again?
Yeah, definitely can. He's actually put up some uh, graphs and documents on our group, um, but he did the spiral of creation
Oh,
workshop.
I've seen a
Have you
post
seen it?
by. I've seen it, but yeah, now you're talking about it. I've
Okay.
seen some graphs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to like go into that, like I mean, it's all documented. Like the spirals right next to each other, the crystal spiral and the Fibonacci and the math, everything's laid out there. So that
Okay.
would probably be a big healing for you to see that, to talk with him and see what he suggests.
Noel
Because
Tobin,
yeah,
how funny. I clicked on this about 2 days ago
but of
because,
course, I'm sorry.
yeah,
You have
go
to
on.
you have to be like careful because I'm speaking candidly right now, and I don't know if this will be edited or not because, again, the split comes up whenever you mention one of the past people of the foundation's name and
Yeah,
their work and the
yeah,
direction they're
yeah,
going because he
yeah.
has very differing views of the May event, the May 2012 workshop
Well, I'm
of,
pretty sure he's going to write a book, isn't he, with
yeah,
Katu?
oh, they were working on it. I should ask them and see if they're still doing that or what.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to approach anything from just basically a place of like cluelessness and then go off and discern and not have any like, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
Because if I'm feeling drawn to this, or if I'm feeling drawn to that, then I know that, that's my coding or whatever. And if
Yeah.
I kind of listen to other people, then I know what I'm like. I can get lower level frequency like opinion out of nowhere, whereas I should just go to what I'm drawn. And then many times I'm drawn for things that aren't right, and then I know in about 2 weeks that that's rubbish. I know it, but it takes a couple of weeks to
Yeah.
sink in.
Oh,
It's
that's great.
something
Good.
calibrates. It's
You've seen
pretty.
that in KS? What,
I say that again.
have you seen that in KS with people? Somebody saying something, then you find it's rubbish after?
um well, rubbish is a strong word. I find that, yeah, it's like it's lower level belief system, and then something high level gets involved and reaffirms that actually this is the case, and then it repeats, and then I know that for me that's my path. Do you see what I mean? So
Okay.
the thing is lower level, and it's like it's not always permanent. It's like the immediate belief. It's like a distorted understanding of it, and then
Well, have
something.
you, my question was, have you seen that in KS, like with people and
Oh,
stuff, like where you had confirmation, where somebody told you information that was all complete and entirely true, and then you found confirmation of the truth on top of it?
um
Like with people that you met in the group or anything?
maybe with perspectives of
Ex
people in the group. Yeah.
Exaggerating like some things of the split, or that don't go to that, so don't read this, don't do that, or
Um,
well, I guess you did. You said with Adiera you had the experience, but he wasn't projecting like not to do it.
no,
He was just,
there
yeah,
was no projection at all. It was
yeah,
his experience, and don't
yep,
forget, I was around his frequency a lot, so
right.
I naturally was trying to still come into my own connection with source or whatever. So at that time, it was like, I may have been picking up on that, maybe I don't know, but for me, like I had a lot of that frequency at the time. And like I'm trying to say, like, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I think it's not just me. I think everyone listens, opens themselves, and then goes off and discerns the information. They may not
That's
come back and
yeah,
say
that's the
anything.
assumption I have too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think we're all like big enough spiritually now and awakened enough to do our own math with things, and that's why it's kind of interesting. Like right when I posted on Reality Check, one of the first people to speak up about what this was going to be about was Mag, speaker ex speaker 3, and she asked if I was going to be painting a rosy picture of KS. And this is all in full disclosure. I'm saying this, and I came back and I was like, I want it all. I want the good, the bad, the ugly. Anybody who was in this group actively participating and it affected their lives, they have a story to tell. In my eyes.
Right.
That's a legit spectrum of the KS larger story that I think should be heard and appreciated by whoever comes into the group.
I mean, if you can hold that level of different,
Yeah, well, no,
if you
I
can
mean
hold,
that's what I'm preparing for right now. It's like
yeah,
I put
well,
on some
that's
gear or
if
something.
you've just got to be a bridge. That is it. You've got to be completely non-attached and just. I mean, that's
Yeah.
my look on it, right? And if you can hold all
Or
those
completely
states,
attached in all directions is what it
yeah,
feels like. I mean, I can feel all of it, so it's not non-attached. I'm extreme empath, man.
yeah,
Like,
that's like. I mean, if you can do it, that's like someone needs to do it, right? So it's amazing, and like I think when everyone looks back and reflects upon these things or upon the whole thing as a whole, whatever is produced from it, will all appreciate it so much. So
well, it used to be like this ego mission of spreading the gospel type thing. Like that KS deserves better representation. It needs to be out there. Everybody needs to hear this. And I went through that whole phase, and that's what everybody knew that I would share the material like with anyone, even people that were just barely doing anything. I was just really pushing it way too much. And so I feel like I've kind of processed that phase. And now it's like our own healing, like people that are related to the KS story. And if some people come into it and just hear our conversations and what we're having and show interest in it, then good. I've lost
yeah,
attachment to that being where the direction I'm aiming this. I'm not
right,
trying to aim it in that direction at all. Like
Yeah.
this is very centralized to us as a family, and sharing very real experiences with a very real source of information that she's apparently getting, because it's made real changes. They're real techniques that made real changes in my life, so,
Yeah.
and many others that
Yeah, it's coming from a genuine place, so that's the main thing,
it's
you know.
more genuine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. Chris, this is like a 4-hour interview.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
what
like
they've been. That's what Harvey's was. Huh?
oh my God. I haven't even finished Harvey's. As
It
soon
was
as I get
part
this,
two. Yeah.
oh, it is? Oh my God.
It was
So,
4 hours. I
oh,
edited some, so I mean it's 3.5 on Blog Talk, but it was four. That's crazy. So two 4-hour interviews. That makes an 8, right? We're supposed to be writing 8 waves. So that's good. Cool. All right. Well, I mean, we can wrap it up. If you're
no,
done.
I
That's
mean,
that's
whatever.
that's a little
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
If you feel fulfilled, like yeah, it's good because I sent you those MP3s, so you,
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean,
I've
that's
read
another.
a couple, I've read them out, so whatever you
Okay.
like, you can stick it in there, if you like.
Well, there's another thing that comes to mind with follow-ups that people have been suggesting to do, like later on, because one friend told me that I should have had the chat on to where people could reply, in the
Uh,
live one that I did. And I
I
thought that's a good idea because Blog Talk Radio offers that feature.
I think that that's a really good idea. I think that people will integrate even more if they feel like it's a live, open, you know.
But see, right now it's in the phase of I don't have any set scheduled time because they're coming in so fast. They just happen when they happen.
But people can put comments and stuff, can't
Yeah, they
they?
can put comments on there. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sounds good.
And some people are having trouble navigating like through the spam and stuff that's on Blog Talk too. That can be kind of a headache.
Yeah,
Figure out how to get it to, because it starts out with the commercial and then it goes
yeah.
into it.
You've got to have patience with the play, don't you? Because then it comes on at some point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So if you feel like you got enough
Yeah.
stuff,
Well, I really want to listen to your statements here, and then I mean this will definitely be a follow-up, I'm thinking, because I'll see more
yeah,
questions in here.
sure. Because you haven't really heard, yeah. And if I find any other juicy ones, but you heard the one about you heard the ones that I just wanted to get off my chest. You heard about the Matrix. I've seen this hologram, right? That's my interpretation. And you heard about the Merkaba, which was so amazing when that
The
happened
blue
to me.
Merkabah.
Yeah, the
That
blue.
keeps reminding me of Slider 6 with the blue Merkabah Lotus thing that we did in Ireland. So
I
maybe you should
can't.
check that out.
Yeah, I need to check all of Siders now. I've only listened to 12. And then what was the other one? Oh, and I
Wormhole?
suppose the no, that one I've said that one.
That
The
was
one, the
okay.
Atlantis one, I can confirm that that place I was in was so modern. Like
Wow.
Alicia's saying, like it's really modern. Like now I get it. It's such a modern city. It looked like I thought it was in Dubai. I thought a flood was happening on this planet,
Oh, wow.
and I had tapped into a timeline of the future because I thought I was in Dubai, but now I get it. I was in Atlantis,
Now,
and
wait, what, when you say modern, what kind of modern? Was it like exhaust stuff? Was
God, I
everything
was
free
literally,
energy?
I not well, no. I can just say materialistic wise, it looked amazing. It was like I was in a 15-story, it was like 20-story block. I was on the 15th floor. It was all glass. There was no metal. It
Okay.
was glass
Okay.
with like these,
Maybe crystal or selenite
yeah,
building?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely something so epic. I mean, I don't want to put words in, like maybe it was glass, but it wasn't
Okay.
busting under the water. Um, and then there was horses that carried people. I was carried off on a horse on the top of a horse. They swam through the floods, and then dolphins. And for some reason, I've been dreaming so many times about dolphins. And when I went to
Dolphins.
Egypt,
Yes.
when I went to Egypt, the dolphins came and swum by the boat, and the captain
Yeah.
said they never come and swim for like 2 weeks. They haven't
That's
swum.
that's a
And
whole nother category. The dolphins here, and the
well,
whales, and that's
yeah,
guardian stuff. Yeah.
well, this is the thing. I think I was a dolphin. I don't even know what that means, but I really think I was a dolphin. But what does that? I need to
Okay.
look into this, like what that line was. But one of the dreams, I was a dolphin. I wasn't even human. I was a dolphin. So it was like now I'm like, oh, maybe I need to look up what that means or who that was and stuff like that. But
Oh man.
yeah, so the Atlantis is basically the one that I can say Alicia's really helped with. I know that I was in Atlantis. I know I was either rescuing people or I died and was observing, like she said. Um, yeah, I was definitely in Atlantis doing something.
Wow.
And actually, one of the pictures, one of the other ones, is like three dolphins sitting at the bottom of the sea, and I'm one of them.
That
So
was one of the what you actually saw?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
Do
either
you
saw.
paint?
Do I paint?
I just see a lot of paintings, art stuff, like with your visions,
Yeah.
and
You.
like what Ash is doing.
That's a really good. You've tapped into something good there. I mean, I'm an artist. I was an artist before anything, but I
Are you?
stopped when I was 18.
Okay.
My teachers were like miserable because I was so good, and then I yeah, because I thought I just had
That's
to do
fun.
business or something like that, business studies, and
That's how
then
my piano teacher was. I refused to be boxed in these little cages of music theory stuff. I couldn't do it. But I could play by ear, anything. Like just play it, whatever.
yeah,
You
yeah,
listen.
I've done that before, play by ear. It's different, isn't it, than reading.
Aggravated my mom. She spent hundreds of dollars, all these different teachers, thinking it was the teachers.
No, I was yeah, and when I started having these dreams, I started writing to some people in KS that were artists, begging them to paint the dreams because they're so vivid. Oh my God. I said I just need an artist with their hand to draw what I saw. And I got guided to this by another artist. I got guided who was so lovely, and I'm gonna contact her again. Maybe she's listening to this. She's such a wonderful lady. She lives in I don't know, somewhere in Sweden or something, and she told me to follow this other KS lady called
You know
Tone.
E. Tobin?
Yeah, that one.
I was about to say she's an artist. Like you guys
Yeah,
should really
yeah.
connect.
And she
She's got a
followed
lot
me,
of her art on there.
and I follow her Instagram, and now I've just started adding her on Facebook, and her drawings are beautiful, and like yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
I should paint what I saw, but we'll get
What
there.
kind of paints did you use? Were you using oil or
Nah, just acrylic.
acrylic?
Yeah. But
Yeah, there
can I
might be a
just say,
link there somewhere.
I'm not as
You
good as those ladies, like they're proper artists. I'm not, I don't think I'm a proper artist. I just like to paint, you know.
okay?
But
I
I
don't
would
know
say,
if that can be categorized as like
yeah,
who's better or anything. It's just
yeah, you're
I
right.
don't know.
You're right.
When it
Yeah.
comes to that, like there's elephants that paint now. I don't know if you've seen that.
What do they stand on the paint?
They use their trunks and they
Oh,
just dip it
my
in different colors. They pick their colors. They put a
God,
canvas in front of them.
who did that?
You
Elephant
haven't seen that?
paint. Sounds epic. Oh my God, here it is.
Yeah, I know. It pops right up after you Google. There's a whole bunch of pictures of them.
You have so much like information. You know so many. Oh my God, look at the paintings they're doing.
The
It's amazing.
paintings, I know. Look at them. Elephants can paint.
Oh, that is
Very
so
artistic.
beautiful. Oh. Um, yeah, so yeah, you're right. Maybe
Just seeing a link there because you're having such explicit visions, real detailed, and the time frames. And I mean, if you could put that to a real painting, you'd really capture the encryption of it. And maybe it would, I mean, go as far as to say as I could maybe possibly help other people like see how real this is, the time waves and everything.
you're really right and you're really inspiring me to do it and I've said it a million times I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to force myself to pick up those paints and do it now. I think I want to do that blue Merkaba one. That one was like
Yeah.
amazing. Okay.
You still have paints?
Yeah, I do.
Wow. Okay.
It will be really interesting to see what I produce. So, yeah, thank you. I think I'm going to just get on with it because I really want to do it.
Yeah, definitely. That's what this is all about. If it's kind of connect the dots type stuff, you got something sitting there to do. Or a link to that, link to something. That's how I see my music. It's like there's gonna be a time for it, but I'm like, just not, it's like too much. Like some of the stuff I sing about and some of the times in my life when I wrote the songs, it's like a lot to go back into. So try to be able to actually perform, you know? Like the song in itself is just like kind of a art piece where it doesn't need to be out. I don't need to be out behind it, you know?
I heard your carry what is it called? The Elysian, oh, I forgot now. The Arionia, that one.
Oh yeah, that was the Song of Arias, or the Prayer
Yeah.
of Arias, yeah.
That's how I remember it because I've heard you sing it. I now remember the words.
That's how you learned it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that one just like, that was another one that just kind of streamed in. Just like as soon as I was reciting the prayer out loud, there was music that just came in the air with it in a rhythm. Kind of, it was like what she was doing on stage when she first had it. She's like, she could hear drums and stuff with it. And I
Uh,
was wondering, is she hearing the same thing I was hearing? And my friend played it for her at the workshop, and she said it like lifted her up, kind of like when she put the headphones on, she just kind of lifted up. But she said it was going to be the different one, like I think the Cathion code that was going to have the music to it. And she
all
didn't
right.
know if it was going to be this one or not. So the Guardians didn't know yet.
I just love how Yasha, like, I mean, people say negative things, and I've heard stuff, and when you said like about, I've heard loads of negative stuff, and then that feeling just leaves in like a week. That goes, so I know it's not the truth for me, and it could so be the truth when you read some of this stuff, but it just isn't. It just dissipates for me. Um, and I just love. I mean, I see her, and I just love the way she's just in it with all of us. I mean, that's how it feels to me. But I mean, it might be different for other people, but that's how it feels to me. She's just as she's open to everybody's input. I
Like
mean,
you're learning it with her type thing.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just like that, about the deal, the contract.
Right. Well, she's always said that at the workshops that everybody needed to be present there that would bring in the information. Like everybody had specific codes and stuff that would be there.
So, can I just quickly tell you? Oh, I mustn't forget to tell you about the last journey.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Um, because we haven't. That's the third. That's almost like a different
Yeah,
existence.
that's where we started and we haven't even gone into it yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's wrap it up there
Yeah,
then
we'll
with the
wrap it up
journey.
with that. So last night, I basically in 10 minutes couldn't keep my eyes. That was it. I was dead. And as soon as I fell asleep, dropped straight out my body, and I went up like in a vortex, like pulled out the body and straight up. It knew exactly where it's taking me, and I went
As soon
into,
as you fell asleep, like when you
yeah, like
okay.
from the minute consciousness left,
Okay.
I heard her going, Cosmina has, and the bigger pic, she's talking like 10 minutes into it, explaining the maps. And I had her in the background, and that was it. As soon as I passed into that realm, I just came straight out of the body. There was no frequency, nothing. It's like effortless now. It's like so much more, I don't know, like smooth, right? And into this new place, but it's like pastel swirling, pinks, blues, and kind of swirling round like clockwise thing, right? And in the center, it's like a shape, a pronounced cube or square or diamond shape, like an eye, and everything's going around it. And then my consciousness has to touch it, and then I get back in the body. Um,
Like an eye?
Not like an eye, doesn't look like an eye, but it's definitely the PowerPoint for. It's like waves,
Is
or
that the Eye of Lila thing? Because I remember she was showing some charts with that on it.
God knows. Oh right. I saw. You see, I can't. When you're up in the actual dimension or the realm of that thing, it does not look like that 3D. You're in it. You're part of it, so you're not seeing it from a perspective of not being part of it. So the thing looks completely different. All I know is the colors are exactly the same. The waves, like everything is like it feels that. I mean, I feel like
Exactly the same of what?
those codes.
As the codes? So you were
Yeah,
seeing the same colors as what the new codes were. I don't know.
I guess I was seeing the pinks and blues.
In
Yeah,
that realm. Like just
yeah,
probably more experiential. from where
Yeah,
they came from, where she depicted them from.
I guess so. It's definitely like way high. Like you feel like you're way up. Not
Wow.
you feel like I feel like I'm on a much higher dimension there.
So when you
Much.
say higher, does
Um,
I get the sense of like a big long ladder leading up through your anatomy or something, your DNA, I guess, going all the way up and then down here again. Is it in that sense, like you might fall down here again, or what's the emotional level of being that high up and
okay,
then
so
translating it down here?
physically you are like pulled out of the body and you're going up well fast, but really you're like going past any astral dimension or anything like that. You're going into this new place. So physically it's like it wants to get you physically whilst you're still experiencing physicalness, you feel like you're on a not a vortex, but like something's pulling you high. That's the only way to explain it. And then etherically, it feels light. There's no body involved. You're just spirit, and you're there to connect with something and then get back in the body. And I came out twice. That's the other thing to mention. Normally, I'm doing that, and then I go back to get back in the body, and I remember and I fall asleep. But I went back in the body, listened to Yasha again, and went back out again, straight back out to some other place, but similar, nothing like what I've ever had before. So it's like I'm going to do things or something, and then back in the body, but completely knock out, dead to the world till 4 in the morning. Wake up and I'm like, did I just sleep through the whole workshop? And then I'm like, oh my god, the dream, not the dream, the outer body, and then I start typing it.
It was that vivid, every detail. You just
Yeah, yeah,
wow. That's not a dream. That's a journey. That's like
yeah.
you're
That's a
actually. It's definitely a big difference. I like how you just separated the out of body and then you have a dream in two different documents. That's
yes,
because
yes.
there's a category for each of those for sure.
Right, I want to be very honest about whether it's a dream or whether it's something, because the dream it's different, but the outer body you're still able to perceive from 3D as well as other dimensions. You're just expansion of perception and awareness. That's the outer bodies for me. Greater being in all the different places at once.
Right. Omnipresent, they call it.
Yeah, I guess that's how one would. Although I don't feel that way, I just feel like I'm in this other dimension. But you just know you're in bed too, you know? Like you've just come from 3D. You just expand that. Yeah, I don't know. Omnipresent is like you don't feel relaxed or anything, man. Like you're well, like, you know, you're excited and you're like curious. There's no like, I think omnipresent, you're just like at one with it all. But I'm not at one when I'm having these things. I don't think.
Well, that's pretty much what Sliders was for me. Is the whole uh, Bilo technique, all of it, of just getting more familiar with those journeys, and the reality that there's portions of your consciousness there, on these other planes. And in Flame Body, it was like freeing those trapped portions of your consciousness. So that was like scary stuff. But Sliders was just like I got to let loose and relax. And now that I've freed those portions that were necessary for my coding, my DNA, everything down here to get through these ego battles or different types of things, psychological things, that I'd be able to have the opening to the higher to be able to connect with the higher selves in those locations also.
Right.
So
Yeah, I agree with you, but I haven't even done sliders.
it's where it gets fun, it's just putting on. Well, I'm sure this is like way beyond now what we're doing, but just to go through the step-by-step thing was really
Oh yeah,
to
I can
see
imagine.
how to get there,
Yes.
was a lot because it's
Yeah.
still all very relevant. I feel it is. I feel Sliders, anybody doing the newer stuff, it's worth to see what all
Yeah.
we did before.
Yeah. I would probably look into it
And I
at a
came
later.
in right when Sliders was starting, so it was like,
Um,
and I was blessed to have somebody, as I shared in the interview, catch us up before. So it was like it was just all set up to happen to go right into it, and that was part of my contract and my my deal with the group here was to be able to have that perspective also about it and be able to talk about it and share it and show the importance of it, I think.
Yes.
So, because there's like basic fundamental things in there, like with the probability maps and,
Right.
you know, some of these just basic things that are really good to have in mind too, that helps answer questions like some of the
Yes.
dreams and
I
these
would
other
say,
selves you might see in other portions of reality and things that explains that, you know.
yeah, I will look into sliders because of the sliders I've looked into so far. I find it all so, like you're saying, answers questions. So,
Well, one of the big experiences was the heroic self thing and the probabilities, because she was saying once you start doing this, then you're going to start bringing in more quantum from your other incarnations, and so
right,
that means and I started having these Bardo dreams where I would wake up, I would have this ending of a life where it was me in a different probability and maybe with the same people here type thing, and then
right.
an event would happen where that incarnation would die, and I would witness the death, and I would be there in spirit in that
Wow,
time. And then as it died, I would slowly start waking up from the dream in reality here in real time and soaking up that quantum in my shield, and I could feel the expansiveness of it. And
wow,
that
that,
was like sliders 4 through sliders 5 probability stuff. It was just really good workshops. Those really experiential. Uh,
yeah, sounds powerful.
yeah, because I mean, you're consciously working. You know what these lives are. You're not in this state of puzzlement about, what was that? Oh my God. I mean, it's all being laid out for you, and
Mm,
you get to go at your own pace with it whenever you feel ready to go into those lives and see what happens, and how it's going to happen and experience the death, man. I mean, it was like a real death experience, like Bardo. It was part of myself. And I had like two or three of them, and
wow.
they didn't end pretty either. Like the
Mm,
one of them didn't. So you don't know what you're going into, but it's really expansive after you get through it. You reach the end of it. And
mm.
Sliders had a surprise ending. It was like, and with Sliders, there's three parts of Sliders 12, and that's the fail safe right in the middle of it. So
Yeah, I noticed.
you always know it's a happy ending when you start it, but it's like
Yeah.
a ride when you're in it doing Sliders, because we didn't know where we were going, what was going to happen yet. So
So let me ask you something, seeing as we're talking. What do you think about Lisa Renee?
I have mixed views because I've felt the heartfelt experiences that some of her followers have had, and I accept them as family, and I know that they're having real tangible experiences. So I know that on some level that she is helping people, and there's a authenticity, I guess, about her work and what she's doing,
Mm,
but I don't think it's exactly on the same page. That's why I'm always asking people in comparison to KS, do you see other
mm.
groups? Where do other groups stand? Because is this the end all, or are there other people equally in frequency but don't need the mechanics that are pulling as much frequency doing work right now? You
Yeah,
know?
I was always thinking kind of like maybe it's like the way that some people are coded or their brains that they need the technicals and the mechanics to justify or connect, and other people are just it, right? It's just complete zenness and they'll still ascend or whatever, right? But
Yeah.
it's hard because there's been so many changes on the planet. Does that person then naturally get those changes, or do you see what I mean? Like, do they do it without conscious aware? If there is like the distortions on the planet, then everyone's got them.
Well,
So
as
if
far
that,
as I know, Lisa's pretty much following the new workshops using some of the same terminology, but just putting
right,
her thing on it, her
right,
slants, I guess you'd say, slants.
yeah, yeah,
And there was a very personal letter that was actually shared with me that I shared with some close friends in the Shield of her whole entire viewpoint of what's happened with the speakers and everything. And it wasn't what Ash is saying at all. It was like completely different.
hmm,
So that gave me a lot more insight. I don't want, I wouldn't talk about it on here like publicly exactly what she said, but it's a completely, entirely different angle of what happened with the dark flowering thing.
yeah. I mean, it always is, and this is why you got to
Yeah,
just and you got to sit in there and listen to the information, soak it up,
that's the
go
division that's happening. Yeah.
and then do that like inner discernment and figure out for yourself, because it is always another story, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what, and people vest so much emotion in those stories, like, oh, she did this. This is what really happened. They get caught up in the movie and just they lend their emotions to it, and it makes it reality for them. And then you have all these divisions and splintering of groups and things that happen. So it's because I personally feel that there was quite a few people that went to her camp after the split. They were just kind of dazed and confused after all this and just kind of landed there for time
Right.
being, and we don't know how everything's going to turn out with all this. But that's another thing with the interviews is I'm hoping that there can be a lot more, instead of the bickering and assumptions behind people's back, that there can actually be a hands-on type expression, that's
Yeah.
behind what's coming behind the text and behind the keyboard and typing and stuff, people
Yeah.
like real expression and tone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's brilliant. Do you think you're going to edit this?
I don't know.
I bet you're
Probably.
just going to put the whole
I'm
thing
just gonna put the whole
on
thing
the
on, man. Yeah.
sheets.
That's what I
Okay.
did with Harvey's. How is that?
You're talking
How
so far.
how's the flow with Harvey's? I mean, should I have edited more of that? Because we're just like flowing.
No, it's great. It's
Okay.
great. It's like real, isn't it?
It's real. It's just real talk stuff.
Keeping it real.
All
Yeah,
right.
well, look, I'm going to go sleep now because it's
Yeah.
10 and I've got to drive to Hastings tomorrow. Lovely, wonderful.
Yep.
Really not looking forward to that. But anyway, so it's been nice. We did it. We finally
Did
did
it.
it.
It's sitting at 141. That's a good number. So it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, well then just message me if you've got, whatever you want to do after, yeah? Like she
Okay.
said. Okay, that's nice. Lovely to talk to you, Chris.
You too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. Speak to you later, okay?
Okay. Talk later. Bye-bye.